Welcome to Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. In the next half hour, you'll obtain insights and tools to transform your life using the biblical principles found in the 12-step program. We believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience because we all have struggles in life. Struggles with addictions, food, depression, anxiety, and relationships, to name a few. You'll be encouraged to see how others have found a new way of life with hope for the future through life recovery. Your host is Steve Arterburn, founder of New Life Ministries and Women of Faith, author of over 100 books, and teaching pastor at Northview Church in Carmel, Indiana, one of the 20 largest churches in America. Steve is the co-editor of the Life Recovery Bible, the #1 selling recovery Bible. With over 3 million copies sold, this is the Bible given to inmates by Prison Fellowship and the Pew Bible for the Salvation Army. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, welcome to Life Recovery Today with Steve Arterburn. I'm so glad you've joined me today. You know, it is our 12th month and we are coordinating and correlating with the 12 steps. And of course the 12th step says, you know, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps, well, we tried to carry that message to others and to practice them in all our affairs. Well, today we've got a very special guest for you who had a spiritual awakening, and her life is kind of one big 12-step going and helping others one after another. So I'm really delighted that Lisa Frazier is going to join us. But I want to mention to you before we go to Lisa that the 12th law in the life recovery laws, and there are 12 of them, it's the law of responsibility. And you know, it's obvious that all of us need to accept responsibility. When we do, that requirement of responsibility is always going to result in security. If I'm irresponsible, I don't know when the next quote unquote shoe's going to drop. I don't know what the next thing is going to be that's going to happen. But when I'm responsible, a responsible person accepts responsibility for the things that I've done, the people that I've hurt. I try to make restitution. I try to make it right. But I also, not just taking responsibility for the past, but I'm responsible in the present. Then I'm not always wondering what horrible thing is going to happen next. And there's a lot of peace to that, but there's an awful lot of security. You know, if I'm a responsible person in recovery, I'm not going to shame people. I'm not going to live in shame. I'm going to find a way to resolve that. I'm not going to blame people for my problems, and I'm not going to resent them. I'm going to forgive them. That's a responsible thing to do. And I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. As Corrie ten Boom says, when you worry about tomorrow, you're just taking all of that stress and pressure and piling that on top of the stress and pressure of today. And that's not something that we're able to handle for very long. So I'm hoping that today it's going to be an inspiration to you, not just to be responsible, but to carry the message to other people. And if you haven't had a spiritual awakening, the Bible says that when you seek God, you will be found by Him. Now I'm going to take a break and I'll come right back with Lisa Frazier on Life Recovery Today.
Are you going through your struggles alone? Do you want someone to talk to help you through your pain? Do you feel like a failure when you relapse again, telling yourself, next time will be different? Don't walk this path alone anymore. Join a life recovery group today and be a person that your friends and family can be proud of. God created us to be in community, and we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country, and if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. Life Recovery brings recovery to you, right where you are. You'll take a journey with others to find healing and freedom. Whether you're looking to join a group or start one, New Life Ministries is here for you. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit liferecoverytoday.net.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. You know, when you call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, you can order all sorts of supplies and all sorts of material for life recovery. And so we were noticing that there was a particular person out of Northern California, Modesto, that seemed to be ordering, all of a sudden, a lot of New Life material. And so we did a little research, found out it was Lisa Frazier. And am I ever glad to have Lisa on the program. I want you to hear her story. I want you to hear how she started a life recovery group and what's going on there in Modesto. Well, Lisa, welcome to Life Recovery Today.
Hi, I'm glad to be here, Steve. It's an honor.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and there's so many places that we could start, but I want to start with something that doesn't happen for just everybody. You have a really special story, and I believe that it began 27 years ago.
Yes.
Tell us about that, and then we'll get up to speed on what you're doing today.
Okay. 27 years ago, it was August 9th, 1993. I had been an addict for many years, steeped in addiction, totally lost. I had spent the last 7 years addicted to methamphetamine, and there was a season in my life where it became apparent to me. It was just like a gradual awakening, just the depth of the addiction and the absolute total lack of control over my life. And it just began to seep into my conscious mind that I was really in danger, that I was in danger, that this could actually be all that there was ever going to be to me. And that just seemed like totally unacceptable to me. And I remember being under the influence and just asking God, please don't let me die like this. I know I need you. I know I need you. So that kind of I began reading the Bible, even though I was under the influence. And I remember a day real clearly where I just kind of had it out with God. I was just asking him, why am I like this? How come I don't care about my body? How come I don't care what I'm doing to myself? What is broken in me? And it was really a heart cry. And I totally believe that God hears those cries, that his ear is actually tuned waiting for those cries. And so basically, I walked into a room with a Bible, had an encounter with God. I presented him my challenges, which he countered with the word immediately. It was really an incredible experience. It was so incredible that before I left the room, he was my Lord. I asked him before I left that room, what do I do now, Lord? And that's kind of been my question to him ever since. And I never used again. That was, again, August 9th, 1993. So 27 years. And
wow.
I don't look back. I don't regret it.
Well, you know, I think a lot of people wish that they had a story like that where, you know, everything changes in an instant. And that isn't the way that God works with everybody. And as you and I talked before the program, that's how you stopped. And it was a miraculous experience that caused you to stop. But the process didn't stop there. You know, all your teeth weren't suddenly capped or filled, and you had to do some stuff. So let's talk about that. Did you enter in some kind of growth program through the church, or what did you do?
That's exactly what I did, Steve. I started attending church. I began an entirely new network of friends. I disassociated myself with the people of my past, just completely, because I knew in my heart that's what I had to do. I felt like I had been given a gift and I was guarding it at any cost. I started serving in church. It was like I had this hope and this grace, and it was just like I needed an outlet for it. I felt like I was full of the love of God. I just needed an outlet. And so I started working with addicts, overcoming in Christ, and just several different ministries, but that was the first. And I began the growth classes, leadership principle classes, anything that the church was offering that I could do or that I felt I needed to do, I did. I actually made a commitment that if there was a need, I was going to serve, and I was going to serve no less than a year, because in my mind, I needed to find my calling. I needed to find my purpose. And I figured that I would not find that sitting on the couch, that I actually had to be in motion. And so that's what I did.
I love that. And, you know, so many people when they've been through addiction, they think, well, you know, it's too bad. God could have used me this way or that way, but here I am, and I just got to pick up the pieces of my life. And I was listening to a gentleman give me his fifth step and you know, open up and tell me about all the defects and the people that he had hurt and things. And it was amazing how many talents and gifts he had been given by God. And I think that that must be true about you. And so you began helping. Now, at this point in your life, tell me the different things that you've been involved with. I think you've been a children's pastor, is that right?
Yes, I served at the church that I now attend, Celebration Center. I was a children's pastor, actually ministry director there for 7 years. So I don't have children, so that was another gift from God.
Wow.
At the same time, I was serving as a volunteer counselor, spiritual counselor at Stanislaus County's Juvenile Hall, which the chaplaincy program there is through Youth for Christ. And I served there for another 7 years. Tuesday nights working with the youth, the at-risk youth, the troubled youth. Did that. That was very fulfilling, and I still see the benefit of that today, and the fruits of that. I also began working with a women's recovery home, and we're still connected to this very day. Some of the women that are in my life now came from that program, and that was just a mentoring. That was just becoming a spiritual mentor for these women who are trying to get their lives together, trying to get off drugs, trying to gain their children back. So there was like reunification of families involved, so that they were actually raising their children instead of visiting them. And so we're still closely connected to that ministry, and then that brings me to today.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about today, but first I just want to make a comment about what you've told us. I mean, you have truly transformed everything that Satan meant for evil. You have literally turned it into something good for the Lord. And so many folks, they go through something like what you were through, and they think, well, I'm disqualified to serve. Well, you actually are qualified. You have a unique qualification because you've been through it. You can reach out to others. And I think your pastor came to you one day and had a request. Is that right?
That's correct.
What did he want?
It was actually my pastor and my pastors, or they're both pastors, Pastor Mark and Nicole. They asked myself and another lady, Liz Tillman, affectionately known as Mama Liz, if we would consider developing a recovery ministry. And I actually had already, I had moved out of state for a while and was in Utah, and we actually planted a Celebration Center church in Utah. And during that time that I was campus pastor there, I wanted to develop, because my heart has always been for the suffering addict, for the person that's still in bondage to addiction. And I wanted to start a program there at the church. And what I did was I went to the Bible bookstore and I purchased 2 Life Recovery Bibles and 2 workbooks. And then I took them home, and then I moved back to California like shortly thereafter. So I was never had the opportunity to birth that ministry there, and brought those back here, put them in a trunk, and there they sat for several years.
Several years, all right. Well, we'll hear more about that right after this break. We'll be back for more Life Recovery Today.
It's hard to find a trusted friend when you're in crisis, someone who's been there and understands, but who also has the training and skill to give you practical help. Family, friends, and churches want to help, but often they're not equipped to care for those dealing with problems like addiction and pornography, infidelity, anger, depression. New Life Ministries is here to provide help and hope in life's hardest places. We're not focused on making people feel better. We're focused on helping people do the work that will help them be better. At New Life, we have resources available to help you, like books, DVDs, CDs, workshops, and our network of licensed counselors. If you need help, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and begin your new life today.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. So glad that you're with me here today, and I'm so glad to get to hear the story of Lisa Frazier. You know, I love it when somebody takes all of the junk from the past and lets God transform that into a new ministry, a new mission, a life with new meaning. We've said it over and over again. God has called us. All of us have a unique calling, and we think, well, maybe we've blown it and the calling has gone away. Well, He didn't take it away from Aaron, the high priest, when he was worshiping a golden calf. He didn't take it away from Peter when Peter lied 3 times and said, I never met Jesus. He repented and he was restored. And so here we see Lisa really with an amazing, brand new mission. Tries to set up a recovery program there in Utah, comes back to the church in Northern California, and she says her Life Recovery Bibles just kind of sat around for a while. So then what happened, Lisa? Bring us up to speed.
It was about a week after we were asked. I stumbled on, I had forgotten I had these, stumbled on these Bibles. I'd been researching different materials, and I was, my partner and I, Liz, we were just praying over what direction the Lord wanted us to go. And I stumbled across the Bibles, and I was like, what's this? And opened them. I had never opened them. I opened them and knew instantly this was the way we were supposed to go. So I just happened to have 2 sets. I presented one to Liz, and she pretty much had the same response. She opened it, and our hearts were just like full. We knew that this is the material for us and for what we want to do. Our pastors just gave us the green light to just go for it, which doesn't surprise me knowing them. So we began. I wrote up I put together a guide, like a ministry guide. Pretty much took a lot of the information. I bought the starter kit from New Life Ministries, and we just kind of worked
New
through
Life.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
ordered it at New Life.
Okay, so 2 people, and you ordered the starter kit. How did you
Yes.
let people know there's going to be a meeting coming up?
Well, we put ourselves on a timeline. We had like a schedule. And so we started announcing it from the pulpit. The pastor started announcing it from the pulpit. And we just started getting word out. And we had our grand opening, if you will, our first meeting. And I think we had about 55 people show up the first.
No way, that's
first
incredible.
Night.
Wow.
It is incredible. It's not surprising knowing the church that I come from, because we have a lot of that type of ministry going on. But it just evolved from there. We have a very committed team. We birthed it in prayer, first of all, and then we had committed people that were willing to use their gifts and their talents for this ministry.
So how many people are involved in some kind of recovery process at your church?
Wow, if I were to guess, I would say probably they have either come through and come out and are now leadership or leading others. But I would probably say 75% of our people, and that's probably about 150 people.
That is so wonderful to hear. And do you ever get people asking now, are these 12 steps anti-Christian, anti-biblical? Is this, what is this 12-step stuff all about? Do you ever get that question?
Actually, Steve, no. What I hear from people that have gone through, I don't want to call them secular, but other 12-step programs that aren't as, they're not Christ-centered. I'll just say it. They're not Christ-centered, but they're helping these people. Totally applaud that and encourage that. But what I've heard from those people is that when they're asked to go through this material, they just can't get enough of it. They love it. They say it over and over again that they love this material, that it ministers to their hearts, and they really were hungry for God, and that's how this material has helped them.
Well, I've started working with alcoholics in 1977, and I would notice that people would come in to the treatment center where I worked, and they would look like they were going to die. They were in such bad shape. And, within a matter of days, their health would be restored, their brain was still a little toxic. But I noticed as they continued to recover that they kind of plateaued because they hadn't fully recovered, because they hadn't really ever known Christ or accepted Christ. And so they just kind of went to a certain level. And that was so different than Dr. Bob in the beginning. If somebody wanted help, he would take them to the upper room, get them on their knees, and get them to accept Christ. It really is rewarding when you get to see people fully recover, isn't it?
Yes. Absolutely. It's absolutely the greatest gift to just know that you played even a very small part in someone else's life.
Yeah.
You know, having been in that pit myself, totally understanding, you know, the bondage that's there, not wanting help, but knowing desperately that you need it, and just making that first step, and then watching the growth after that, because we are believers in discipling people, and so it just all fits together so beautifully.
Well, Dave Stoop and I have said that you could say that recovery is a discipleship program. And what I love about Life Recovery is it is all about relationship. And you can build deeper and richer relationships over time. And I've heard some people say, hey, a really great way to disciple is through relationship. And you know, that's not really a very good way to look at it. Discipleship is all about relationship. It's not a method to use. It's about relationship. And it seems like you've developed some really great relationships to start it and to move it beyond just being a group, but a place where people can move up and be trained in leadership. As you look back on this journey, you have any words of wisdom for somebody that might be in their 20s and they're just getting started? Maybe they haven't surrendered yet to the fact that they have this extreme limitation, or maybe they have and they're just getting started in recovery. What do you say to that person that you've learned through all of this?
I would say, first of all, pray. I just remember being in the depth of addiction and praying to God that He would lead me out, that He would save me in spite of myself. And so I would say pray, and then I would say find a group, find a church, find a group, find people that are on that pathway. You don't have to have it together to start. You just have to take that first step. My heart's cry is that you just begin the journey. God will meet you. God will meet you there.
Yeah.
God will meet you.
Well,
Yes.
I'm so thankful that you've taken the time to share with us what you've been through. I hope it's an inspiration to folks to start their own group, because, you know, here's an idea that became a reality, and now look at all of those people that have been helped, transformed. And Lisa, God bless you, and we're going to be praying for you. We want to stay in touch with you. And I think you're a real champion for God's transformation, total transformation for people. And I know you feel that fulfillment, but I bet it hasn't all been easy all the time. But I just want you to know you're a hero. And I just am excited to get to talk to you, and I hope that we can stay in touch and get to hear all the stuff that you're going to do, because it kind of feels like you're just getting started. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about a gift. It's an amazing gift called the gift of peace. We'll be back.
Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of life recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other life recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW LIFE.
Welcome back to Life Recovery Today. Let me remind you, if you need a resource, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And if you want to send me a message, it's stevesocial@newlife.com. Love to hear from you or answer a question, whatever you have. Well, there's another little book, and it's called The 12 Gifts of Life Recovery. And the 12th gift is the gift of peace. Let me read you a great verse. It's John 14:27. It says this, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." When we have a relationship with the God of the universe through Jesus Christ, we can have peace, a supernatural peace, a peace that passes all understanding. And you know, Jesus says to us that the world can't give us this kind of peace. Well, you know what? If we let it, the world can sure take it away. And one of the things that I see destroying people's peace, let me give you two of them. They're kind of brother and sister. The first one is resentment, and the second one is regret. You know, if you are full of resentment, well then obviously you haven't worked the program. You don't have the luxury of resentment. But resentment really is a process of blaming somebody else for your misery. It's still holding somebody responsible for it, justifying anything that you do. Resentment has anger and blame at the heart, and it keeps you angry and blaming. Regret, the twin sister, well, it kind of links you back to the past. And it doesn't necessarily make you angry at somebody else. It actually, usually, you're ashamed of yourself. You regret what you did. And so rather than it manifesting itself in anger, it perpetuates kind of a dull unhappiness, very hard to live in the present and to enjoy it. I don't know if it's resentment or if it's regret that are still on your radar, but if they're there, God wants you to go through a process, and at the end of that process is healing and restoration and peace. Thanks for joining me. You know, so great to get to be with you and hear people like Lisa who are making a difference. Are you making a difference? Maybe it's time that you decided to do something in recovery for the Lord.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. We hope this program has helped you integrate God's truth and wisdom into your recovery journey. This program is brought to you by New Life Ministries, and it's your support that keeps this program on the air. When you contact us for any reason, be sure to let us know that you watch on NRB. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to liferecoverytoday.net. Please join us again next week for more Life Recovery Today.